Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here, talking Peacemaker with filmmaker extraordinaire, the great and talented Chris.R. Notarile.
What's up?
Yeah, so folks, the time has come. We've finished the first season of Peacemaker. We've digested it. We've ruminated upon it, and I like to think we've quite enjoyed it. But let's find out. Chris, what did you think of Peacemaker season one?
I loved it. It was a great show.
Me
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Yes, no, folks. Chris is not here just because he's a huge fan of James Gunn. If I have that right,
This episode is sponsored by Keeps. Just kidding.
I'm definitely been a fan of James Gunn as a filmmaker, but I was never like I'm a Gunn fan. Like I've seen his movies prior to him getting into mainstream Marvel and DC. They were good, but he was never like standout to me until he became mainstream because I feel that he had an indie eye and a comic book mindset. So he's one of us. But now being able to do mainstream movies, he's able to make the studios do things the right way. And that, I think, is his true talent.
Yeah. I mean, in regards to this, I thought this was great. I've been loving James Gunn's DC work. I mean, I think he's been saying this is like one of his. Well, I think anyone would say, "What's your great work? What's your best work?" Well, the next thing I'm doing, that sort of thing. So I don't know how much to take from that, but it sounds like this has been the favorite thing that he's done so far in his catalog. Because I mean, just looking at it, it feels representative of his style. It kind of feels like the kind of most James Gunny thing he's done.
It's definitely
in
got
a
a little
while.
bit of everything in there, even giant like bugs and shit. It's all in there.
Yeah, I mean, what I really love about it is that he basically, took like kind of like an all but forgotten character, which is kind of his thing. He loves taking the all but forgotten or kind of niche-esque characters, and he took like the credo and the vow of Peacemaker, and he explored, how that affects a character, with kind of a really good kind of arc. I think he laid out, in this season. Apparently, he got the idea from the Rick Flag death scene. It's like, okay, that's the way.
No,
John
it wasn't
Cena.
from that scene. It was post that scene. I read an article where he had said the day that he realized that Peacemaker would work as a solo adventure was when he's about to kill Ratcatcher 2. And there's this look in John Cena's eyes where it's more than I want to kill her. It's I'm doing something I don't want to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it was through John Cena's performance that James Gunn thought this guy is capable of quarterbacking an emotional arc.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about that because I keep just going to the Rick Flag death scene. But you're right. That moment where they just kind of where he just kind of like locks eyes with her again. That is quite. I could buy that. I could buy that because what he's always doing is he's finding the shades in the blood of the guy shedding it all in the name of peace, and that's kind of a little kind of lightning rod for you. And also, I mean. Now, Chris, you're a big fan of Charlton characters with Blue Beetles. This is kind of interesting. We take yet another Charlton character who kind of technically went on. The only thing I knew about Peacemaker was that he was the Charlton kind of inspiration for the comedian in Watchmen.
Yes, he was the Charlton version of the Watchmen because Alan Moore wanted to do the Charlton characters, and DC said no. So they created the Watchmen characters. But basically, Peacemaker essentially became the DC's Punisher for the longest time. And I truly believe that we're never going to get a better comic accurate representation of a character than we got with Peacemaker from at least the Charlton characters. I don't think even in the Blue Beetle movie we're going to get a good Ted Kord. We'll probably get a decent Jaime Reyes, but definitely not a Ted Kord. And I don't think we're going to see any of the other characters like Captain Atom, unless James Gunn is like doing, because I know he believes in pulling for the B-listers and the ones that don't get enough screen time. He's the only person I believe who will actually go the distance and say, yeah, I want someone like Captain Atom or Nightshade in the movie, and then actually go ahead and fucking do it right.
I mean, we did have a couple Charlton characters either here or referenced at times well, I think it was more actually I think Judo Master's a Charlton character, so technically two at the bare minimum. And,
no, is Judo, and I thought Judo Master was AC Comics.
Well, you might be right. I remember that I think he also appeared in Trunks. Whether he was created there first or not, I guess I can't really
Yeah.
say. But
But no,
regardless,
like I said, James Gunn is the only one who's attempting to actually do these types of things. The fuck, he canonized Batmite, for Christ's sake.
oh, it's wonderful. Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, so speaking of Blue Beetle, of course, kind of brings me to kind of some of the stuff you've done with Blue Beetle. Just before we get any further, I just want to highlight, Chris. Why don't you tell the folks what you're working on right now? Why don't you plug some of the cool stuff you have down the pipeline?
Well, last week I premiered my last fan film, my very last fan film, at least indefinitely at this point.
Don't scare people like
which
that,
was
Chris. It's my last fan film. Don't
indefinitely. I mean, I could make another one, but as of right now, I could pretty much guarantee that at least the next year, 6 months to a year, I'm not going to be making any fan films. It was the Scream fan film, Chris Notarille's Scream fan film, and that was amazing because we shot that guy on 4K, and it's got the only thing that no Scream movie or fan film has ever done before. And I love being able to say that. I love being able to say that. That's like the best part of my job, is being able to say I did the one thing no one else could do.
He's not just saying that, folks. He's not overhyping I was wondering, is he overhyping the ending just a skosh? But no, folks, he's not. He lives up to that.
I really painstakingly make sure that if I'm going to be the first to do something, I am the first person to do it.
Yeah.
Part of my job. But I'm currently now working on a feature film. This is technically my fourth feature film. My other three are kind of obscure, and that's okay. They kind of should stay that way. But this one's got a bit of a budget to it, and we're going to be going into production end of April into May in Michigan. So I'm excited to see how that one goes.
Yes. Yes, and John Kelly says the Scream short films were great. I'm going to assume he's lumping yours in there as well. Sounds like he's up to date on that.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, so just to kick things off with basically, folks, again, we're going to break down kind of the highlights of the episodes, kind of the main talking points. If folks want to comment, by all means, we'll relate to the conversation as much as we can, answer anything you got, kind of topic wise. But again, we're kind of going linear fashion here. So we're going to start with episode 1, and I think what we're going to start off with the opening scene, because it's very much what everyone wants to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. So. The opening scene is very much kind of like a slam dunk of an opening that kind of sums it all up, at least kind of tonally to a degree, where it's absurdly funny, yet oddly serious on some level, which I think is kind of a great promise of what's to come. Like, what did you think about the opening?
Remind me the exact opening scene.
All right, sorry. Well, I just mean in general, like they're all dancing to the to the
the credits.
Song. Yeah. Sorry, I meant the credits.
Okay,
yes,
yeah, because I'm like the opening scene. I thought he was in a bed.
No, you're right.
Yeah. The opening credits is.
I have things to say about that scene, but about the credits.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The opening credits is beautiful, and I thought that it was. I never skipped it, and I think that was a testament to how good they were. I feel having this dance number with the serious faces, and as well after watching an interview with I believe it was John Cena talking about it. The credits have essentially a different context each time you watch them with each episode because, each episode then something happens, then you watch it again, and now they're dancing that same fucking way, and you're like, oh, and either you're being introduced to a new character, or someone dies, or something weird happens, and it puts a new emotional spin on the dance each time, I think, and it's true, it's there.
I think it's really funny about it is that James Gunn, he's done some like supplemental kind of features. Like I don't know if he's done some like more of his movies, but at the very least, I think Guardians Volume 2 had this kind of like this music video with like all the actors kind of showing up and just kind of dancing as this fictional kind of band. So I like that he's kind of gotten this music video experience.
Well, he tries to put a dance number in everything he's done. Even in Guardians 1 with just, Star-Lord doing a dance off at the end of the movie. That was probably the most bare bones version of it. But yeah, he's had musical numbers in definitely was it Super? Ironically, I'm going to say this. I avoided Slither, so I can't verify whether there's a dance number in that one or
You
not.
know what's funny, Chris? I swear
What?
to God, I too. I kind of realized I've seen all the James Gunn directed films, but Slither, because of my tolerance for just kind of like horror
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like
I can't do it. I can't do it. The guy's great at what he does, but that's where I draw the line. And like I said, all of his signatures are in this one.
that. Oh yeah.
But no, the number was great. And side note, the choreographer who did this, her husband is Alan Tudyk, and he was demonstrating the number for the cast.
Awesome.
So he was there on set that day, performing each of the parts, teaching it to them alongside his wife, whose name escapes me right now.
Right. Yeah, my instinct is completely wrong. It's like, no, he can't possibly marry the Gina Torres. That was just that one show. That's not who he's married to in real life.
No, he's married to a dance choreographer.
Yes. Yeah. So I have no idea. I'm drawing a blank. That's cool to know, though.
Yeah.
So the two things I really want to highlight in episode one, again, kind of similar to the to kind of the credits setting a tone. I mean, I think the two key scenes of episode one that are honestly, I think episode one is a really effective pilot. I think it's a really solid pilot that sets up both kind of the tone of things and also just kind of our general kind of story and just got everything you want a pilot to kind of do, or a first episode and kind of first chapter in the story to do. Where one. A conversation with Jamil the janitor. I love it so much. It's a funny conversation that establishes, like kind of the mundane slant of Peacemaker.
Well, it's got
which I
neck
really
break
enjoy.
dialogue in it too.
Yeah. I love just this violent anti-hero who sees himself unequivocally as a hero, and we just have like this is great thing like, oh yeah, sure, the Peacemaker, that racist superhero, and just the great almost Curb Your Enthusiasm this conversation. I can't control the ethnicities of the bad people I kill. I have no control there. I don't do that. So it just kind of conveys to me that the Peacemaker is a guy who lives in he lives in a red, white, and blue trailer. He's paying the cabbie like his helmet. And he has like mail and voicemails from like 5 years in prison. So like Peacemaker's a guy who has real problems. We just kind of tease up this guy. There's a relatability to this character despite
Well,
the
he's
whole.
definitely a blue collar hero in the sense that A, he's broke, B, he has nothing, and C, yeah, he's been in prison this whole time.
Yeah, it's a fact that even kind of these bigger than life characters, they have they have normal problems and they have like normal traumas that again we're kind of celebrating in an interesting way here.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of which, the other key scene I had, Billy, if anything really jumped out to you, is bring it up, Chris. Yeah.
I would probably say the fact that he keeps, he went full butt in that hospital gown.
Yeah, not the first time we
I know.
we do that with characters in this
I
show,
know.
but yeah.
But I props to John Cena for just being like, I don't give a crap, I'll do it.
Yeah, he's very. I'm just love how enthused John Cena is with this character.
Apparently, if you were to tell him that there was an entire like forest of penises that he had to eat or suck for peace, he'd do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, I love that like he's doing all these talk shows and everything. He has like he did the thing where he wanted to keep the suit, so he just wears it all the time. At least it's it's what he said on like the talk
Hey, that's
shows.
perfect marketing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I feel so bad for him because he lost the helmet, but it kind of symbolically matches up with the show, though. Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't. He lost the helmet at the end, but it was for growth.
Yeah.
Also, in the comments, John Kelling says Alan Tudyk is just touching all the DC stuff on HBO Max between Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn, and now this.
Alan Tudyk touches everything, and now he's gonna end up becoming a registered sex offender.
Yeah. So the other thing I want to mention, Augie Smith, Robert Patrick, I feel is is the key to the heart of this story, at least one of the big hearts of the story with the father-son story.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we took like the offhand, background exposition bit in Suicide Squad. Hey, here's another guy who's an eerily similar background to Bloodsport. He was trained by his father at an early age to kill, be a mercenary as well. We really explored it here. And you got to see kind of the traumas and stuff that incurred the Peacemaker, and kind of honestly even before we get to that point, we just see Chris Smith fundamentally seems to be a nice guy, but his father is just this hateful redneck who tried to raise, I assume, a replacement as a white dragon that then turned into, he's kind of like, okay, it was another generic kind of like, he was kind of killing for an agenda. In this case, he
tried to raise a neo-Nazi, and
yeah.
Peacemaker, ironically, is more liberal than he realizes.
Which is really fun, and I love just he kind of deluded his son into thinking murder is like a heroic calling. Basically, we see in the interaction they have in this episode, you get to see the whole like the cell line of like Tadeushi Captain America. I think it's summed up really well here, where you see your heart goes out to this guy. He's being kind of beaten down verbally by his father, just not giving him an inch, as the other guy's making an effort. And James Gunn, I believe, has a signature of definitely kind of daddy issues in his work.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, this seems so far possibly the ultimate culmination. Bear in mind, we had a giant planet who was Ego, the living planet. So maybe that's like scale-wise the biggest embodiment we've had of that story. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have to compare. So, yeah, Ego, my father wanted to, destroy the Earth, a Peacemaker. Well, my father is a Nazi.
Yeah, I know. It's yeah.
How do you tip those scales?
Yeah, well, he put a tumor in my mother's head, and he buddied up to me as a whole. Yeah, it's kind of hard to defeat, neo-Nazi. It's really hard to beat.
Yeah.
So, so let's see. Oh, honestly, the thing that I love them making fun of a blood sport together. Like, just for a moment, that's where you get to see everything Peacemaker's saying there. Like, I have moments with my father, and so they're laughing at blood sport, but then instantly, you didn't get shot by that guy, did you? And then it's the silence. I can't talk about this stuff that happened in Corto Maltese. It's top secret. It's just like, just so sad.
It's very sad because you see him being so desperate for the attention, for the affection and admiration and respect from his dad, and not getting it. And then, the very second he thinks he gets it, it's completely ripped away.
Yeah. So that guy and John Kelly bring up Eagly. They want us to talk about Eagly.
Eagly was awesome. It's a fucking pet eagle. I mean, there's nothing else to say. It's Eagly. There he is.
Yeah, I kind of like that Eagly. James Gunn has always had this sort of like thing with pets in the movies, where they kind of encourage people to get like pet rats. And
I'm waiting for the BJ and the Bandit or BJ and the Bear remake.
Oh God. Yeah, I just with Eagly, one, I thought it was a good move that we didn't try to do it practically, because we would not have been able to do half the stuff that we have Eagly do, like an eagle hugging a man and having it just play as well as it does. And I like that the hug is kind of a symbol for finding redeeming goodness in unlikely people. I think that's at least kind of my read on it. I think on the rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically we have like an element that kind of represents a purity of a Peacemaker, but also an absurdity at the same time. He has a red, white, and blue car, and he has an eagle in the back seat.
Well, it's very gaudy, but it's definitely like on purpose gaudy. It's meant to show that at some point, especially when he was probably starting out as a superhero, he went full on like patriot.
Yeah,
to the point of obnoxiousness.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I do like that there is a development in this show from Suicide Squad. I like that it's not entirely just the same character, but it's not like we're not underwriting what that character was at all either. There's
no, not at all. He's definitely evolving, and he kind of sheds a lot of his, star-spangled iconography. I mean, the car definitely gets wrecked first. Then the helmet situation just keeps getting worse and worse over the episodes. And then finally, his trailer gets shot up, I think, or wrecked at least. I don't remember. But he still keeps the trailer at the end, though.
Yeah. Well, again, it's kind of for the money shot, which we'll get to much later. But I guess the round things out there's with the Project Butterfly of it all. So, we have an unsubtle name for an assumed crap assignment that turns out to be quite massive in the end. And we kind of bring our old Suicide Squad buddies like John Economos, Amelia Harker, which, by the way, I'm sure you've learned about this.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I had no idea. So Amelia
Me either, and props to them for keeping that under wraps. Like, you'd have to be a fan in order, I guess, to know. And again, double props to them for waiting for the show to be over before they said anything, instead of trying to piggyback on that and get more views.
Yeah, it was. That was really. Yeah, it was really cool. That it wasn't like in your head the whole time you're watching. Like, okay, it's the director put his girlfriend in it. It was like, it was an actual.
Well, I had this conversation yesterday actually, and he was really smart about it. They started dating 5 years ago. Or no, wait, 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 7 years.
7
ago.
years. They started dating in 2015. They were introduced by Michael Rosenbaum, of all people.
Oh yeah, because Rosenbaum's friends with James Gunn. Yeah,
exactly. And she did not appear in anything that was his until 2017, and that was Brightburn, which he just produced.
Yeah.
So 2 years together, and then she makes her first appearance in something as a supporting character. She didn't pop up in the Guardians movie, and it wasn't until the Suicide Squad last year, so we're talking 6 years into the relationship, that she actually had a role. And again, in Suicide Squad, it was a supporting role, setting up, obviously, her becoming a main character in Peacemaker, which was just strategic 101, strategy 101.
Yeah, it's we're keeping it locked down quite nicely with Peacemaker. Nothing really, to my knowledge, nothing really kind of slipped out. Like, no major leaks as far as I know. So
well, especially because he wasn't, unlike, say, for example, Taika Waititi, who was a little bit more public with his relationships. James Gunn didn't say a damn thing, so good on them.
So also we have we have Mern and Adebayo. Now Adebayo, I love the idea of we gave Amanda Waller a daughter and how we parallel this to Peacemaker through the show of like we have parents that we wish are better, that we're better people, and we're kind of fearing that we're becoming to an extent. So I thought that was a really cool kind of idea for the show.
One thing I appreciated with Adebayo, my wife agrees with me on this, is that they did not glamorize or over-sexualize her relationship with her wife. It was 100% straightforward, boom, there it is, rather than, how sometimes lesbians are portrayed on screen as, through a male gaze. They didn't do that at all in this.
Yeah. It's just very kind of salt of the earth. Well, okay, well, they got little dogs, and it's just they're little dogs, maybe thinking about children, but we're not glamorizing it till late night or anything like that. You're not doing, It
was a very, very relatable relationship. A very, if someone wants to know what gay people were like, they're just like us. Seth Rogen. Oh my God, they fight just like we do.
Yeah, so anyways, with Project Butterfly, of course, Peacemaker has a one-night stand with a butterfly, and my God, what a brutal fight! Like the knives come out, and we blow her up with the sonic boom.
I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know the helmet did anything.
Neither did I. I was completely shocked by it. I mean, I know when they mentioned the jetpack at some point, like in the next episode. Oh yeah, I think I remember him vaguely having a jetpack and some art I saw once, but I had no idea like the helmet did things.
Yeah, that was a cool addition because I don't recall the helmet doing anything in the comics.
Yeah, the Gadget fan me was very appeased by, oh man, we made the helmet do things, which I don't know, maybe I want to say the helmet gadget like that. Scabies obviously is like a James Gunn idea, a helmet that gives you scabies, but some of the other stuff, I don't know, it might be pulls from the comic. I don't know. The helmet must have done at least something over the years, at least once or twice to spark that idea. I'd like to think, but I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it's kind of a great button on the episode, just kind of a litmus test for, okay, this is where we're going with this. We're just scratching the crazy surface. We blew someone up with like a sonic boom helmet you didn't see coming at all. So
it definitely helps you with what to expect, because if you're gonna blow up a fucking person in your first episode, showering and he's in his goddamn underwear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, all right, okay, cool. What's next? I'm excited.
Yes. Speaking about what's next, we should transition to the next episode. That's going to bring us to episode 2, Best Friends for Never. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like a bottle episode. I know I don't think it necessarily meets the requirements because we kind of leave the bottle episode towards the end, but I just like that we explore direct aftermath, which is kind of refreshing.
Well, we had his god-awful shitty escape, where he's just terrible at escaping the police, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact
that couple. That couple was awesome.
Yes, I believe it's Evan and Amber. Yes, who of course Amber has the hots for a very considerate abductee with abductor. Well, the kidnapping.
And good on her for getting some.
Yeah. The threesome gag was pretty funny at the end. I love the fact that Vigilante. We had a joke in the comments here about the helmet protected his identity. Well, in Vigilante's case, he's very concerned with protecting his identity, even during a threesome, which, again, you don't call that out that often. It's usually like one of those images you see like Deadpool wearing the mask all the time in the comic without the costume when he's kind of doing naughty stuff, let's say. So I like that we kind of, oh, yeah, you can speak of that. You made your Deadpool fan film. You did a little bit of that in the Afterglow with the mask on. Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, so, I love that he's looting the place as he evades the cops responding to the sonic boom and all that.
She's dead. Why not?
Yeah. So, how did you feel about the police presence in this? Because for me, I wasn't sold on until we did the big butterfly invasion in 6. Until we did that, I was like a little nervous about, man, we're doing a little too kind of small town kind of sheriff sort of police presence. Like we're really hung up on capturing Peacemaker when I don't think the show should necessarily be all about that.
I felt that they devoted a lot of time to it, but in retrospect, it was definitely worth it because now we understand the scope of the police department getting possessed and taken over.
Yeah.
I was more focused on the actual escape itself, and again, how terrible he was at escaping. The fact that he's trying to save these stupid records of all things.
I mean, he has actually something really important, but he has no idea that at the time. He's just taking, oh, look, something shiny. I'm just going to throw it in the bag.
Exactly. And it just goes to show that he's basically, failing upward.
Yes. Also, so speaking of upward, the opposite of that with downward here. I love that the thing that hurts most of all the hits that he incurs me is that clavicle shoulder. Yeah, when he falls, and you hear that pop. You never hear the pop when people fall. That's the thing. Oh my god.
Well, I find it funny that he's supposed to be a professional superhero. They are supposed to be able to do superhero landings, and he just keeps falling on his damn face.
It's just great. A lot of refreshing kind of reversals of tropes in this show.
The back and forth between was Amber and what?
Evan.
Amber and Evan was hilarious. I felt that was a huge scene stealer for me, especially when they're in the interrogation room cursing each other out through the wall.
Oh, it's just great. So just in general, episode 2, it's just the idea that everything goes wrong in which Peacemaker can't escape quietly in the slightest. Adebayo's like having stage fright, killing people, and Economos makes the gravest mistake of all. Economos frames Peacemaker.
But that leads to the best series of outtakes ever.
It does. Oh God, yes, it does. Most assuredly. Okay. So I like what the Economos thing though. We show that the guy in the chair. We basically show a guy in the chair who's lazy and not awesome at his job, which I thought was just really was kind of a really fun kind of subversion of that. Where it does feed into his arc by the end when we have like his big dye beard moment, where he's basically his pattern of, as he calls himself out on. He's gone with the easiest action all his life, and it leads to trouble time and time again until he kind of slowly but surely kind of gets into a more proactive role in things. So it's kind of it's kind of nice little kind of progression on the rewatch to kind of say like, oh yeah, okay, see what they're doing here. Now we got to talk about Vigilante. What do you think about Vigilante?
I love Vigilante, and I'm very happy that they got Freddie Stroma for the part over the original actor playing it.
Do you know who the original guy was? Because I keep hearing that, but I have no idea who it was.
I do. The guy was actually, I think, around John Cena's age. Hang on. The original actor's name was... Oh, come on. Forgot. Byron Asher. And he is just hang on. Let me double check on this guy here. No, wait, that's not him. I'll find it. But this guy, I saw him, and he's definitely closer to John Cena's size, and he looked physically stiffer. And he looks like someone out of a 90s action movie.
Right. Gotcha. Kind of like a Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of equivalent to
kind of. And I don't think not Van Damme, more like someone trying to pass off as a knockoff Dolph Lundgren with black hair.
Okay, I got you now. Right.
And I don't think that would have worked. I think having this little brother aspect with Vigilante, this guy who is just, wide-eyed, autistic, essentially. I think James Gunn even confirmed it. He's a sociopath. He's autistic, and he has no emotions whatsoever, like no empathy whatsoever. So he's completely foot in his mouth at all times. And
Yeah,
I think that really, because it's so easy for someone to make the comparison. Oh, Vigilante is just a Deadpool knockoff. He is
oh
not,
heck no.
not at all. And especially if you just watch him in a singular episode, you realize he's not Deadpool. Deadpool is a self-referential cartoon, and Vigilante is just a guy who doesn't get it.
Yeah, I like that. See, Vigilante is a character where there have been a number of vigilantes, and like before, like we kind of made him into the like visually the vigilante you're seeing ahead, like the cowboy vigilantes. The moniker's been passed around and kind of been reinvented over the time, which gives you a freeing, like, okay, I'm going to take the Adrian Chase version. That's usually the go-to with this look, but I'm going to kind of go free reign with how this guy is characterized. And what I loved about Freddie Stroma, and I wonder if you had this at all. I wonder if anyone had this at all. Is that I'm watching Freddie Stroma, and I'm basically thinking to myself, "Oh my god, this actor! If they ever do a biopic of James Gunn, they have to cast this guy. This character felt so much like James Gunn's sensibilities, kind of like
He definitely has his attitude in general. I appreciated the look of him without the mask. He looks like he could be a serial killer, like part Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, there's a little
with those glasses and that shitty comb over. It was very Dahmer looking, and which is obviously the exact opposite of the persona he's trying to put forward with his character. Which, by the way, his visor is prescription.
Really?
Yeah, James Gunn confirmed that because he doesn't wear his glasses underneath the mask.
Yeah.
The visor's prescription just makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Oh man, yeah, I did not think about that. It makes sense. I was wondering about the glasses because I know every time he takes it off, he like puts the glasses on. But yeah, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what I really, of course, I love the adorable friendship between him and Peacemaker, but I really like that while it is kind of adorable and fun, basically it's like a duo that are just big kids who kill people, shoot appliances, and have three-ways together, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that we're using Vigilante to measure, Peacemaker rethinking how he used to do things, and kind of like now he's having, kind of.
Oh, Vigilante is absolutely who Peacemaker used to be as a person. This apathetic person who just, I'll kill people. You're bad. That's it. And I feel that after the events of the Suicide Squad, he's now obviously changing, and he's being essentially haunted by who Vigilante is.
Yeah, I love that we had in this episode when we kind of introduced Vigilante proper. He was in the first episode, but not in costume. We did like the full. But I love that we had like the kind of a recurring catharsis interruptus, I like to call it, where he's had John Cena's just really going for it, just having this moment of like, Rick Flag was right, Peacemaker, what a joke. He's just having like a real kind of a sad cry moment, and this Vigilante was at least like just an absurd runner, but it's just the fact that we're. He's thinking about these things, and he's having the introspection, which later on, Vigil no, enough with the introspection, okay? It's like, no more of that, come on. Because if he gets introspective, like the old kind of like the dynamic, I got to be introspective, I don't want to do that.
I think, again, this is very easy for a lesser writer to cross that Deadpool line, but, because it's James Gunn, he didn't. But to say something like enough with the introspection is almost a tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement of breaking the fourth wall, because that's what the scene is supposed to be. But having someone specifically like Vigilante do it, because a lot of people who are either autistic or sociopaths, they have to, mimic what it's like to be a normal person, which is called masking. So it's much easier for them to understand what someone's doing, because they basically have that cataloged in their mind of what that emotion is and the definition of it. They don't know how it feels, but they know exactly how to mimic it. So someone like Vigilante, to say enough of the introspection, he knows specifically what Peacemaker is doing. He doesn't fucking understand what it means, but he knows the definition of it,
Yeah. All right, so I think with that we'll transition to episode 3. Now, so real quick, John Kelly says the blowing up the appliances in the woods scene feels like most likely pulled straight out of Gunn's childhood, which I could buy.
I think that was just, like I said, a kids in the sandbox moment.
Yeah. So let's see. So episode 3, Better Goff Dead. So this is the first Butterfly mission, and basically the big reveal episode. Okay, so Butterfly isn't just like a nickname for metahumans. It's yet another unsubtle name by Task Force X, essentially, of like, okay, butterflies are crawling into people's heads and taking them. Alien butterflies taking their people's. How did you feel about the alien butterfly things? I don't think they're from the comics, at least so far as from what we know.
I don't recognize them from the books. I was a little shocked to see it because I was like, okay, we're getting literal here. I thought that it was, again, just a tongue-in-cheek name because Task Force X is probably run by assholes. But no, they had literal butterflies. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So James Gunn's getting to do his old bug thing again.
Yep. I mean, I gotta be honest. I was a little worried once the butterfly thing happened. So 3 episodes in, that's where they had premiered this thing. That's the reason we didn't do it week by week. It was like 3 episodes at first, and then they did the one a week. So at this point, so okay, we basically have here's basically what we mapped out for the show, and we're doing butterflies. It's kind of our big antagonist or big threat of the season. I was a little worried because it seemed eerily similar, not identical, but eerily similar to Starro, and I love Starro.
I did see that comparison, but so first off, I had the exact same reaction as Peacemaker, where I was just like, oh, a butterfly, like, okay, literal butterfly. Now the good thing is that Starro was a hive mind, but these butterflies are all individuals.
Yes, yes. So that
is the thing. So it's more like Invasion of the Body Snatchers more than anything.
And you're right. So I'm saying over time, like the differences like that, and ultimately the ending is like what absolutely sold me on it. But I mean, they were like little bits here and there of like when we had Goff in the jar, stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm seeing there's a little bit of personality to these things, and so it won me over time to the point where I was completely sold by the ending. So
and then again, because you're watching, you can't completely judge a series until it's done. So. Yeah. Getting to see all 3 episodes at first definitely was, helping people get on board and trying to understand what was going on. And, there was a lot of thread to pull here. So I was like, okay, butterflies. All right, what's next? I appreciated, I think, more than anything, Peacemaker basically having a panic attack in the field.
Yeah, that was. I love how Vigilante came in for kind of the save, but also again just very eerie. Like, hey, buddy, it's okay. He's being so supportive as he is murdering a family of butterflies.
And again, that's just him basically identifying emotions. Like, remember in Terminator where he's in the hotel and his skin is like rotting, and because like, hey, buddy, you got a dead cat in there, and he goes through his list of responses. That's basically, I think, how Vigilante just sees the world, where it's just like, okay, I have to react this way now. Hey, buddy, it's okay. Okay, time to murder.
Oh, yeah. So you mentioned Batmite earlier. So just in general, we get a little bit more of it here. We have, I just love the casual DC references in conversation by the kind of the been there, done that, kind of like seen it all. Again, John Economos, who's been part of the Task Force X. You've seen everything in the DC universe. Basically, that's the charm of the DC universe, which is kind of good that we're bringing into seemingly the DCEU.
Well, a testament to James Gunn here. He's done a fuckload more world building in 2 movies than all the DCEU has done so far.
Absolutely, yes. 100%.
Again, with all of these name droppings and referential stories to unseen events. I mean, for God's sake, the Suicide Squad pitched us the most awesome movie ever and never delivered, which is Bloodsport shooting Superman.
Yes.
Oh my God, I wanted to see that so badly.
I just love that. One of my favorite things about Bloodsport is like the easiest sell of a character ever, the man who shot Superman and got away with it.
Yeah, like, holy shit. Like, why am I not seeing this movie? And he's just like, I just, I didn't want to do Superman. No, give this man Superman, please.
Oh God, yes, just it's wonderful. So honestly, between James Gunn mainly, I think the only other movie that really did any real world building was Shazam, and again, we'll see where that goes going forward with stuff. But it's like the only time we've referenced, like, hey, let's just reference the stuff instead of like waiting to build them up and like, hey, little files here and there. Like, there's Aquaman swimming and looking at a camera.
Yeah, no, I think you can do a lot more with just telling a funny anecdote about a character than you can having to have a whole hard drive full of superheroes you plan to tee up in unmade sequels.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, with the deep pulls, and again, kudos to James Gunn as always with this sort of thing. But as we're talking homunculus and homunculi and everything, it brings about memories of Dollman. Dollman being the one most ridiculous, obscure characters you can pull from a man who, it's not that he shrinks to like the size of an ant, folks. He basically, my usual thing with Dollman is he's usually always in the small size. So I forgot that he could shrink to it, but just a doll-sized man, like it shrinks to the size of a G.I. Joe.
That is really useless in the long run when you think about it. He's
I
still
know.
visible by the naked eye.
Yes, I know. And he was like on a team with Uncle Sam. It was like a whole thing. I don't know if you. Yeah, it's crazy. There's like a DC hero called Uncle Sam. It was literally just pretty much like an actualized Uncle Sam. It was crazy.
I remember Uncle Sam. He was also, I think he's royalty free actually still.
Really?
Yeah, I
That
think
would make sense.
I think, well, obviously, but I think he's part of the royalty free superheroes that are currently out there right now, which were taken in by DC when they did like I think it was the 12. They brought in like the Flame, Thunderbolt, and
It
all
sounds
these
right.
random characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Sam was part of that team. I think Alex Ross even put him in one of the posters.
I buy that. About Ross doing some of his awesome posters. I could buy that happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk Judo Master.
Okay, so I don't recall him ever having a green outfit in the comics.
No. To my knowledge, not
Okay.
not all.
I mean, I understand why he has the green outfit, honestly, because Peacemaker is taking up everything in that red top.
Yeah.
So it's just better to visually to have him fight a green guy.
And I think in the comics, his outfit was like red and yellow. So
It's
think
red,
they
yellow,
didn't
and
know.
black, and it's
Yeah.
got tassels on it and all kinds of shit. It's
Yeah.
very impractical actually because you a lot of stuff to grab. So and I think having Peacemaker being in essentially red, white, and blue and silver and yellow fighting this guy who's in all these different colors, that could probably be annoying on camera. So just monochromatic him to a green outfit. Okay, I went with it.
I kept thinking he was like a member of Cobra, like kind of the Hydra, DC Hydra equivalent. The
He
Cobra.
looked like he was on Serpentor's team.
Yeah, it kind of did. That's the thing. I like the Judo Master is in my experience, brief experience I have with Judo Master. The main thing I know Judo Master from is he was pulled briefly in the Batman Soul of the Dragon animated movie. It's the most I really know about Judo Master.
Actually, I'm looking
Sure.
up some of his outfits. His main original outfit was this. Remember Solar Man?
I think
This is
so.
one of Stan Lee's late '80s creations.
That's
He's
a thing. That's why it's
basically in like
familiar.
a red top with the Japanese sun, but it's yellow for his chest with
Yeah,
yellow
that's what John
arms.
Kelling says. He says like a rising sun motif. Of some
Yeah,
sort.
and it's just really goofy. And then at one point, they briefly put him in a white outfit with a red, dot in the center. But my experience with Judo Master was he showed up in Infinite Crisis, and I think like Superboy Prime kicked his head off.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were basically Dan DiDio was just destroying all of the lesser known characters, and like it was Judo Master, it was Geoforce, and a bunch of those B-listers all fighting Superboy Prime in his berserker mode, and he just basically decapitates Judo Master with I think like a punch to the head or something.
John Kelly makes a point here. I'd like it if you were right. I wonder if James Gunn ever considered this. Judo Master and Batman Soul of the Dragon was associated with the Cobra, the Cobra cult in that film. So it'd be kind of a sweet pull of like, well, at some point, I don't know if they've ever done that in the comics. He's worked with Cobra, but like, hey, maybe he's worked with these guys, and let's just maybe give him the Cobra gimmick, so they kind of differentiate him, like find some sort of logic to like change it up. I don't know.
I think logically it just comes down to the design element. You got yellow and red versus red and blue. That's going to be too messy on camera. Just throw the guy in green because then it looks better. You got a big red guy fighting a little tiny green guy.
Yeah. And the size differential is quite fun. What I really love with Judo Master is how darn quick he is. He's so darn quick, and he loves his hot flaming Cheetos.
That was weird, but I went with it.
I just love they weaponized him like Bullseye or something. It's like,
I was like, what is this guy's deal with fucking Cheetos?
Yeah.
Did they get a sponsor? They had to have gotten a sponsor for that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Okay, so they did like this promotional thing where they, I guess the big wigs, like they sent it to like, Kevin Smith got one of these things. So I guess like people they want to influence, people or something like that. They give him like a box of swag, and in the box of swag they have the red hot flaming Cheetos. So it might be some sort of product placement or something.
There has to be.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's how darn quick he is, and just again, just the fact that again, underestimating your opponent very very deadly, and obviously judo master not be trifled. Also, the torture scene where he torture Vigilante, just darkly hilarious in that just Peacemaker's just not giving him anything, and as James Gunn's not shying away from the violence, so they cut half the pinky toe off. I'm a very like a finger and kind of toe removal guy, freaks me out. So that whole like, oh god. So
I thought that was definitely funny because you just see him as, I'm not telling him anything. Don't worry, I got you, buddy. It's like, just give him a little bit. Just give him a little bit.
I love that. Oh, then it turned horrifying for me, but still, it was such a darkly hilarious kind of setup there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. So I think that kind of that overall, just again, we have the big butterfly revelation there, and
The shotgun blast to the face was gnarly.
yes, it was, and we have kind of a, so just speaking of some James Gunnisms as we transition to 4 here, we do have we have a lot. We have some fun running gags. We have just kind of some casual conversation bits, like the whole Berenstain Bears to the Berenstain Bears thing, which is kind of funny. But you have stuff like I like to call them trauma bodies. We have a trauma body like from his days in Trauma, where you have like the practical body made, or where when you shoot in the head, you actually have like a fake body that falls, and just there's something
That just comes from being a horror guy. If you're a
Yeah.
horror guy, you know that you got to have that because, no one wants to see digital effects if they don't have to. People
Yeah.
want to believe it's real to some extent. They want it to feel tangible, and seeing a blown off face prop in all of its glory, really sells to some people, and that's
I
the
mean,
way
look
to
at
go.
RoboCop. It feels like if we just CG'd his hand coming off, it would not be nearly as horrifying and effective.
Yep. Well,
All right,
we've
so-
already proven that with the remake of RoboCop.
Yes, we have. Very, very sadly. You can throw all the Gary Oldman you want at me. That's not going to fix that movie, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, oddly, another movie starring a Suicide Squad alumni, though.
Poor Rick Flag.
Yeah.
Guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, I can't. So, the Chode Less Traveled. So this, we set up. I believe this episode gives us the. I'm trying to think. This is the rant episode.
That is the one where Vigilante gets arrested.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. So, so we see Adebayo kind of working her Waller kind of DNA here by she tries to manipulate Vigilante because Peacemaker goes to visit his dad because he learns that his father was framed. He's going to try and get him out of Dodge because he's very loyal to his father, and obviously, Adebayo and Vigilante are basically calling him out and putting in perspective that no, your father's an irredeemable racist. Just let him be in jail. He's a bad guy. He's done bad stuff to you. Just leave him there. But Chris, he loves his father more so. He loves like just the brief, fleeting moments of normalcy with the father son. He makes it. It's like every kind of sad, like kind of like absentee father thing you've ever heard, where it's like, my dad makes me stuff. We hate crime, and he builds stuff for me. That's all he has.
There's definitely that victim mentality of, people who are in abusive relationships, they'll stick it out because, and again, the whole, it's my father, what can I do? There are a lot of people who are trapped in toxic families because they feel that that's your family and you have to love them no matter what. Whereas a healthy mindset would be like, look, you're my family, I love you, but you can go fuck yourself. I'm done with you.
I love that Peacemaker, to me, it seems like he believes in absolutes, but he's not aggressive or hateful about the absolutes. So every time he's said, like, the stock lines that he's had, like, just like, the whole, like, I'll kill however many men, women, and children I have to, or is any of this more douchey Captain America-esque things that he says. In a sense, he believes in him. He doesn't quite hear how it sounds, like the whole Sweet Cheeks thing at the top of the episode. Like, he's not saying it like aggressively or like in a bad way. He means it in a good way. He just does not know how to filter that at all because of
He's definitely missing that sensitivity training.
Yeah.
I think is the best way to put it because he does live in black and white,
Yeah, he lives in it. He doesn't quite see in it, though, it seems. I mean, I don't... Well, maybe that's not a good way of putting it.
Well, I think the point of the series is to make things more gray to him.
Yeah.
So by the end, when we get to the end of the series, the season, he realizes that no, not everything is black and white.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we kind of lay him out with a choice, and neither is really the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, That guy in the comments says episode 4 for me is the episode where Vigilante went from good comedic relief to a character I love and would be actually and genuinely sad if he died. Which again, Vigilante again, because there've been a couple of them, they have died at times, so it was very on the
I
table.
agree. Yeah,
Vigilante
I
could have
was
died.
seeing him in that scene. First off, the smile on his face as he's walking through the prison. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck is this guy gonna do?
I just love how he landed in the prison, just like through a trash can.
That was hilarious because it was the most obvious thing ever. It reminded me of Charlie Chaplin when he was trying to get arrested in one of his movies. I think it
Yeah.
was one of the Tramp films, but he's literally doing everything he can to get arrested because he's homeless and he wants food and a place to stay.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll go to prison. But everything he does ends up backfiring and he ends up getting awarded, but he can't trade the awards for food.
Yep.
So you just see Charlie Chaplin getting slowly more and more pissed off. But it reminded me of that where he's just like, I have to go to prison. I'll commit a crime in front of all these cops.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I love. Earlier, this was brought up as well. Was the big scene where he's basically goading everyone into a fight, and Peacemaker's father is too smart for that, but he lays out like to a bunch of racists. The idea once he's in the prison, he has like the lay of the prison because he's the famed white dragon, like the white supremacist, and like the kind of the neo-Nazi and kind of Aryan Brotherhood or what have you in
Right.
prison.
He's the Grand Poobah.
Yeah, he's the grand exactly. He's the Grand Poobah. I love we have this black inmate who we see just like kind of it puffs the chest at him like, hey, you're in my seat, just to kind of make a point. And later on, he's like, as Vigilante's just laying out like this, just trying to go into a fight, saying, hey, let's talk about our favorite black accomplishment, like the favorite black accomplishments or achievements that thanks to black culture or some such stuff. And he's kind of just. It's just such a wonderful scene. He's just insulting him very personally. It's just luring him into that fight so he can get away scot-free with it.
I think that was, I mean, I totally am living for it, but it was definitely James Gunn just reminding people how much he despises certain things. And he took a lot of platforms in this series, what with, gay rights, climate change, racism, and, power to him because those were all amazing stances to take. But just the way that they were being handled in this series was brilliant. Again, with Vigilante just saying, what do you think were the best contributions Black people have done to Western culture? Let me go first. It was fucking hilarious.
That it was. And I felt so bad for him when he's in the car with Hardcore. That was the moment where Vigilante, I was loving Vigilante, but he really came alive where I see, okay, I see exactly. This is where Gunn's really going to sink his kind of teeth into this character where Hardcore, he just basically says so sullenly that because he knows he got his buddy in trouble once like he realized he didn't kill his father, and he's just like, you're a bad dad. And like, oh no, giving away my buddy to his father, and it's just kind of that backfire, and he just feels so bad, like I messed up. And you see Hardcore feel a little bit of pity for this character who she's just met.
Yeah,
well, I mean, yeah, roughly just met. I think there's that dumpster scene, but she's kind of had a sit down with.
Well, this is where she got to really know the guy.
Yeah.
After not giving a shit about the guy.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a sad moment because you're like, oh, damn, that sucks. Because you feel bad for him, too, because you're like, you wanted him to succeed because, the father's a piece of crap.
Yeah, and of course, this episode ends very sad, too, where we have the Peacemaker House of Pain thing where we're kind of teasing up the origin of Peacemaker with the death of his brother. And I like how we kind of build that up to when we show it kind of in Flangrata later. Yeah. So that brings us to episode 5, which I believe has. Oh yes, this has the outtakey rant. Yes, Monkey Dory, episode 5. Yeah. So, we're going after Glantai, which is the lead for the whole amber fluid thing. Which I like the logic of our plot here. If we take away the food source, the butterflies will die off. It's a good, solid, simple plot. And we're doing it via a road trip here as we get to kind of that goal. But that rant though, Chris, which just how awesome.
He just names fucking everybody, and then there's even an outtake where he even just names James Gunn.
God. For me, what kills me, because I watched this show, I've kind of gotten off it now at this point because I've just kind of had enough of it after 5 seasons. The C words from Riverdale. What's even funnier is one of the actors from Riverdale is in this show. Is Fitzsimmons. He played Betty's father in Riverdale.
Yes, I remember that, which again is hilarious.
Yeah, just really funny. But this is the fact that this, I think the worst thing you could say about the show, and it's not a thing I have a problem with. I think the worst thing you could say about the show is that it's James Gunn letting the actors improvise a little too much because there's again, but with the conversation, the free flow, and like a lot of good ideas that come from it, it's kind of like it balances out. Where you get a lot of good ideas there, maybe a few things going a little long, but this was awesomely long though. This was not a miss.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. So we had a really smart idea. Not a whole lot to say about Five, I felt, because you have like the X-ray helmet, which is a really cool idea. Well, yeah, if he has an X-ray helmet, he can see inside the heads, and he's going to throw tank shell grenades and everything. It's going to go great. But Charlie the gorilla.
I thought for a second that was a Gorilla Grodd scene coming up, and then I was like, "Oh shit, never mind."
I would have been really sad if they did like throw that detail like Charlie the gorilla in the zoo, and I was thinking gorillas is Grodd behind this? Is Grodd our secret villain?
I'm totally there with you. At first, I'm like, so is Grodd going to be the big bad? Because we're in episode 5 now. We got to see the big bad. He fucking comes out. Oh shit, it's Grodd! It's Grodd! Chainsaw through the chest. Oh shit! That I hope that wasn't Grodd.
I know, right? Because I was like, oh man,
yeah,
it's Jimmy Olsen all over again.
But it wasn't so good.
I know. Thank goodness. Oh, thank God again. James Gunn wouldn't do us dirty like that. Thank goodness.
He would not.
All right, so so we fight with Charlie the gorilla, which again I love that it pays off the terrible PowerPoint that John Economos put together, where it's like, yeah, I put a chimp on the chart there, where something in the ape family did pay off in correlation to a butterfly, and I love that we with the whole dyebeard kind of thing, where he just keeps chiding and bullying him over the dyebeard thing, and they kind of bond over the 11th Street kids. They bond over the Honolulu rock, glamour rock, whatever.
Yes, hair metal.
Hair metal, yes. I keep thinking every time I hear hair metal, I keep thinking about the Supernatural episode where they talk about the hair metal. But yes, and we also introduced that sick puppy Captain Locke, who's going to get real twisted coming up. The guy who's going to be covering things up before he's controlled by a butterfly.
Yeah, that guy was definitely nuts. He was Alistair on Supernatural. Speaking of which,
okay, cool.
Yeah, so he was the one who kind of did like a weird Marlon Brando.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I love to torture, Dean. I can do this for hundreds of years and not get tired.
Nice. Do you think James Gunn might be friends with Eric Kripke?
I think so.
That's a friendship I would absolutely buy. Those guys, especially with the boys. I could see them kind of have a bit of kind of a crossover there in terms of their sensibilities, perhaps.
Well, they all know a lot of mutual people, obviously.
Yeah,
especially given that if James Gunn is friends with Michael Rosenbaum, then he definitely would know everybody else. And if he's friends with that guy from who played the captain, I forgot his freaking name already, who was Alistair.
Yeah, I heard the Alistair part. I forget.
Yeah, I think he's also friends with him too, because I think he was in another one of James Gunn's things. But yeah, so it's not far fetched that these guys all know each other and have hung out at some point.
Yeah. So of course, we have basically everyone bonds at the end of the episode, blood soaked, and as they're riding, we take the little photo, which is a nice bit, and then Adebayo betrays Peacemaker with the Fall Guy diary.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, kind of becoming her mother in that regard. But again, I love that she's conflicted about it, though. I thought that was something like Waller would not have a second thought about that out of bio, though. It's like I love that. From what I understand, and again, maybe you haven't seen some more of the behind the scenes stuff. Perhaps you could correct me on this. Is that a lot of the show is built around Adebayo and Peacemaker, like unlikely people becoming friends with different ideologies, like basically civil discourse amidst really iffy times. Just
pretty much. I mean, there's definitely that call for we can all find common ground, but I really don't think that Adebayo is going to be finding common ground with what Peacemaker believes are his ideals. I think the show is more about Peacemaker realizing that his ideals are not his ideals, and then kind of coming around and seeing the light, essentially. I think the show is more about the misguided,
Yeah, so that brings. Let's transition to 6. Let's talk Mern after reading. So I think 6 and 7. I mean, to a degree, 8 as well, but 6 and 7 I think are the best episodes. What were your favorites? You think out of the season?
I mean, the final confrontation, obviously, between Peacemaker and his dad was good, but what was 6 again? I'm trying to.
Okay, well, 6 has the big monster montage at the end. That's one of my favorite parts of the.
Right,
We
that
had
was
that.
a
We had
good scene. Also, I feel that in my opinion, like the whole thing just works. I had never found a specific episode where I was like, "This is my favorite episode of all," with the exception of I really like the prison scene in episode 4. That's like one of the standout scenes. But the humor with Eagly and the helmet in episode 8 was hilarious. Especially when Adebayo uses the anti-gravity helmet, and then you just cut to the shot of John Cena dead-eyeing her, and the way the camera just pans down to him, and he just looks so fucking mad. And he's like, "Did you say activate anti-gravity?"
Which she did on the rewatch. She absolutely did.
It was so fucking funny. That is definitely one of it. It's such a simple joke, but his delivery and the look on his face was priceless.
Because he's already mad at her for the whole diary betrayal thing.
That too, and then the whole truck scene where he's just raspberrying her over and over again. Another hilarious bit. So, but again, that humor, I think, based on everything that we've gone through already, is what elevated those scenes beyond just ha ha ha.
Right. So, episode 6, we reveal to the team, basically with the exception of Peacemaker, Vigilante, and Waller, I guess, Mern is a butterfly. And this was a really cool idea, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea, I mean, what really sold it for me in 6 too, which I didn't catch until the rewatch, was like, so Mern, he hates being. He basically took a body under protest because he had to stop him. They needed to take on a host, which means, folks, there's no cure. James Gunn's very anti, like, hey, we're going to get rid of the thing that took you over and you're going to be fine. Like, the starfish can come off. No, if the starfish adheres, you're a goner. There's no coming back from that. The, the butterfly thing, no, it's, they're very violently taken over by a butterfly. They're literally burrowing into your brain. You're dead. So he took over this bad killer. And the idea of this killer knows other killers, like Captain Locke, and he's horrified to find out what Locke did in the woods and just seeing the terror on this actor. I'm really happy this actor is going to be in Guardians 3 because I really like the guy who played Mern. I enjoyed him.
He was good.
Yeah. So basically, we learned that he was like the dissenting butterfly who basically wanted to protect human life compared to just kind of the mission at the whole there, which gives him a lot of that's why he's kind of the first. That's why he's given the orders and kind of running point on the butterfly operation. He has the insider knowledge I'm sure Waller found very valuable. So great as that is, I really wish the episode's cold open was the scene that came after the credits, because one of my favorite scenes in the show and tell scene is just perfect to me. I love this scene where it's a priceless setup to pay off his friendship with Jamil the janitor. We're like, hey, it's Cena playing off these kids so darn well, giving them nicknames like Sad Eyes and gender swapped.
I think you're my dad thing was awesome.
Becky Coolidge. Do you know Becky Coolidge? Oh my god! I loved everything about the scene. We called out the whole Kite Man thing. We're saying I think Peacemaker's first bad guy that he probably didn't kill was Kite Man because it was his first.
I can only imagine the damage he did do to Kite Man, though.
Which is
he'll never fly again.
Which, by the way, from what I understand, it was like a super deep cut pool. Like the heist that he stopped was like Kite Man's first appearance, I think.
Like I could only imagine what a Cena Peacemaker interaction would be like with Kite Man's debut. It's like, tremble, fools, for I am Kite Man, and then he just gets shot in the leg or something, and then Peacemaker just beats the crap out of him.
I honestly, what I'd like to think happened. This would be ridiculous. I'd like to think he flew him like a kite. He just grabbed him by whatever string or something, tie like a rope.
That's what I'm saying. What he probably did was he's flying away in his kite, and he probably has a grappling and just fucking shot it. But instead of it hitting the kite, probably pierces his foot or something, and he just drags his ass back down. Again, I can't imagine. It has to be gory and violent, and it has to be whatever Kite Man thought was going to work on his costume is now working against him.
Yeah. Oh god. Yes. Exactly.
But just dragging his ass out of the sky with a hook in his foot.
what I really love about this scene, while all of that is hilarious and wonderful, I love that while we have that, again, we have like a bit where the kid asking, like, "Do you like Jamil's daughter says, like, well, do you have an origin story?" And we're teeing up for the next episode, the trauma that's there with the origin. It's like
Mm-hmm.
little, it's there. So again, like it's just build like kind of building the foundation really nicely. So let's see. So then, of course, we go back to the trailer set piece, and this is what we don't destroy the trailer, but we do shoot it up a little bit. And, we have like the raid that happens where the police are going there and they're evading the police, and again, at this point, I was starting to really question like leaning into the detective song thing so hard, but then when she got taken over by Goth, the butterfly, who at this point is like communicating on the toe tapping conversation thing, like, well, is his favorite color teal? How it's yes or effing no, man. It's like something works one of two ways.
The back and forth between him and Peacemaker was hilarious. Regarding that, it just goes to show you how he is so aloof to any goddamn thing around him.
That's absolutely. Again, it's like we have. I think in this episode, I think it's this one. We have like, well, hey, between me, which one? It's me and Eagly. Who's who? Well, he was basically doing an imitation of Eagly.
Yeah.
Freddie Stroma's facial reactions are great too. Like, we took the mask off initially. When it was taken off of him, he did like the whole kind of the fleeting effort. If I keep changing my face, people will have a hard time identifying me.
No, I heard that he kept that accent the entire shoot.
Yeah, was he English in real life?
He's English in real life. He's got a full-on British accent, but he just went home and kept the American accent, which apparently annoyed his wife.
Really?
Yeah, she's just like, "Can you please stop?"
No, actually, I can't. I gotta keep.
Yeah, so she was very happy when that was over. Apparently.
Yeah. So my honestly, I think my favorite scene in the first season, period, the Monster Montage, where we have I'm going to assume because neither of us have seen this movie, but it feels on brand for, if I'm being frank, it feels a very Slither-esque takeover of the butterflies.
It kind of reminded me of what was it? Kind of like, I guess you could say, in like Batman Begins when he was summoning the bats, or like the prophecy when he had the birds.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, which is again very cool. And being able to just see those hordes of things swarming around. Also,
the
maybe
hallway
like
shots, man. When we have like
yeah,
Fitzgibbon running through the hallway, and it's like the song. James Gunn's song choices are so ridiculously on point. As
I will say that man has really good taste in music. He really knows how to tailor songs to scenes that almost become synonymous with the scene itself. I don't know any kid who's going to hear "Do You Want to Taste It" and not think of Peacemaker now.
Absolutely, I hear you. Yeah.
I'll also give him credit for John Cena playing that piano at the end. I thought that was a very touching moment because that was him. He was actually playing.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
and it's basically the side of Peacemaker that no one's ever gotten to see before, and he's just kind of pouring his soul out, playing something that would be considered, gay to his father. He's playing this beautiful music.
Yeah. So I gotta be honest. The one thing I have against this episode, at least to me, every time I watch the episodes, because I love the monster montage, it hypes everything up. So we see White Dragon in the costume. It's not just like an accoutrement; he's in the suit. We paid it off as it should be. It's not like one of those things where, like, well, we're going to show you the suit, we're not going to put it on. Where it's we do that, I just feels like it's like an effing credits moment, man. Where as that song ends and we see him in the White Dragon outfit and they're all doing the Sieg Heil tune. That's where the credits should be. But we go on with Adebayo, and look, I like that relationship, but I mean, when you have it like scenes like this, like, okay, I get it with Adebayo, I'm invested in a relationship, but maybe we're overstaying our welcome a little bit, and then like the only thing we kind of need is the press conference at the end.
Yeah,
that's
I think we just needed to kind of remind people that she's got her own shit going on, because now that she is not in Peacemaker's good graces, or at least to us. We had to remind you that there were things at stake.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's going to bring us to my other favorite, episode 7, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, which I feel is a great resolution to our father-son story. I loved so much of this episode. I mean, like the origin flashback, just just for starters, just a tragic and grounded, like there's such a tragic and grounded cruelty in it.
I really wish
thought.
they would have spent the money and just digitally de-aged Robert Patrick to his, T1000 days
Oh
rather than
yeah.
having that obnoxious mullet.
Speaking to that though, I think they seeing how spectacular things got in the last two episodes. I think they budgeted really well on this
No, they
show.
totally did. They totally did. But it just that was the one thing that took it out of for me. I'm like, you're trying to tell me like we all know what Robert Patrick looked like, in the '80s, and you're telling me that he's still supposed to be because he was, he's overweight. He's an old guy,
Yeah.
and he's like what in his like late 60s right now. So you're telling me he basically looked like that when he was young, and he's flying around in the white dragon outfit. I was hoping for either someone else to play the part, or for a better de-aging process on him.
See, for me, I agree with you absolutely, but it was more so distracting the first time we saw it when he was like stabbing the. When he was like basically, I think we saw Peacemaker's first kill
We
as a
did see
child.
a flashback earlier, which again they should have fucking done something. I just that was the thing that was just annoying me the most. Other than that, it was fine. I give
Yeah.
it a pass,
Yeah,
but I would
exactly.
just
Yeah.
it just that was the one thing that took me out of it. But that's just comes down to a personal taste.
I mean, I can be overreading into. I'll just turn back into the flashback here. I could be. You just be reading too much into here. I like there's kind of a statement on not glorifying violence with like when James Gunn's going to show a kid getting killed, he's not just going to do that willy nilly. It's like Peacemaker has killed his brother, and this is like the author of all his pain right now, this moment in time, and I like that. To me, the root of like the whole father son dynamic here, and why it was so bad is that you see Augie rather than admit his fault. Like basically, the last episode is a big choice that Peacemaker makes, and I think we see a choice that kind of informs the creation of Peacemaker, where Augie, rather than admit fault and like, oh, I've done something really stupid and very rednecky, and I forced my sons to fight each other just because and to make money, I guess. I've done this. I'm a bad parent, but rather than face that or admit any of my faults or remorse or introspection of any kind, I'm gonna double down. It's like the choice of think about what you've done or just double down. It's like the bully mentality. Do I
Yeah,
stop or do I just like be even worse than I was before? Bury those feelings down, man. Blame it all on the other kid with the mullet.
yeah. You killed your brother. It's like I didn't. You told me to hit him.
Yeah. It seemed like it didn't even seem like a malicious hit too. It just seemed like
No,
it's like
they were fighting obviously, but he thought they were basically like sparring. It was just
yeah,
unfortunately it was a lucky shot,
exactly. It's like a
and
boxing thing. You
yeah,
clock him in like the wrong neurological kind of that sort of thing.
and I think the scene obviously works a lot better with the scene prior to that with the two brothers bonding over
Mm-hmm.
metal, which
Mm-hmm.
goes to show what has influenced Peacemaker as a human. That his brother liked metal, hair metal, and he liked hair metal also, and had his brother survived, he could have very well, been a little bit more of a liberal individual because his brother's like, fuck white supremacy.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay, so before just getting into the White Dragon of it all, Adebayo and Harcourt, we get a lot with them this episode because they were earlier. We kind of skimmed over this a bit, but Harcourt and Adebayo, they were very much kind of like the growing dynamic of like Adebayo is very new to this. Harcourt's very much the most experienced member of the team, just seeing her on Waller's kind of Task Force X kind of assemblage.
Right.
And just Adebayo does make some good points here. And again, this is some of Gunn's kind of Gunn's message kind of coming into this here in a good way, where she calls out like, hey, you were saying like kill the innocent guy, so you're telling me, only the lives of our guys matter, like no one else matters besides us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. Like Adebayo, again, she's not wrong about that at all. And Adebayo but again, Adebayo just has still done something terrible by throwing Peacemaker under the bus, and at this point, Hardcore very unlikely, and a very such an unlikely outcome from where we started them at. The Hardcore has kind of developed a liking towards Peacemaker, not a romantic thing per se, but it's like
She
she's just
respects him.
yeah, it's like she like that. The thing that warmed the cockles of my heart, sir, was when she put that little dove of peace on the gun, and that elicited the response from him of like he said that earlier. I just said that earlier, but I'm thinking maybe I don't want to kill people anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think that scene was good in the sense that you have each character has evolved since the show started. You had Hardcore being this, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to keep any connections because all of you could die at any point, and I don't want to get involved. And you had Adebayo, who was basically squeaky clean, and now she's gotten her hands dirty, but she's still idealistic. But now you're like, well, wait a second. Hardcore actually has a moral point because it's like, yeah, everybody out there is our enemy except for the people that we're supposed to trust on our team.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a nice clashing of ideologies, for sure, and definitely fleshed out Hardcore more and greased her up for the final act.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, and I want to say this, like, I don't know if objectively is the right word because I'm not really passing judgment on this, but it just I like to think it didn't get in the way of the story at all, which is absolutely, again, what you were speaking to earlier with, like, keeping the relationship on the down low. But there was a lot of love shown to Hardcore, and I like kind of how it comes across, especially knowing that they were.
I don't think that was a personal thing. I think that was pure character.
I know, that's the thing. I like that it comes across like that, as it should. But I like that.
Well, because she was the final one to crack, and
Yeah.
you saw it. The first time she cracked was when Peacemaker met her at the bar. And she says, just because you're handsome doesn't mean you can do whatever the hell you want. And then he just leaves her alone after that, which is what she wanted. And she kind of looks at him and she's just like, they left me alone. I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Because so many women talk about how like they're like the dating bar is so goddamn low. When a guy asks them out and they say no, and then the guy's like, okay, and leaves. They're like, no, wait, come back, because you were nice to me. No, you respect boundaries. No, now you can come back and hang out with me. So that was definitely the first piece. And then the second piece was when she took that the photo of everybody after they killed the gorilla.
Yeah.
And then she creates the group chat.
The mermaid emoji.
Yeah, and the mermaid emoji. And then, you see her basically. Then this is the final piece of her puzzle, I think.
Yeah. And also, I think the big piece of that puzzle, too, was the death of Mern, because now she steps up into the leadership position.
That, too, yeah.
How sad was the death of Mern? Like, I think they used, like, an actual animatronic or, like, a puppet of a butterfly.
I think they did, and, he basically died twice.
Yeah, I know, which is even worse. Oh, my... It's not just like you think, okay, Mern's going to make it. He's going to take over another body. Like, nope.
Yeah.
So sad.
It had to be.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And again, very motivating and kind of bonding for the team there. So, let's see. So, the big white dragon, white dragon hunting down Peacemaker. He's going to kill his son. Honestly, just because I love that when Peacemaker came to his father, Peacemaker is very apologetic. He's like, "Listen, Dad, this shouldn't have happened. Here's what you can say to get yourself out of it. Just give me like a week, essentially. Just give me a week." And because clearly he's not in misery while he's in prison. Augie Smith, he's like, he relishes prison. It's like it's like playing cards with the boys on the weekends. Prison.
Well, he's
like,
basically living there. He's living his best life there because he's got everyone worshiping his ass.
It's every retiree's dream, essentially. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the fact is I'm going to kill him just because I got moderately inconvenienced, moderately.
Yep.
And anyway, so we have like Peacemaker pulling the raccoon move, which just tying like a helmet to the raccoon to kind of buy some time, which then leads to sort of our Raiders of the Lost Ark homage with you basically start the plane, Chuck, start the plane with only it's white supremacist.
That was funny, just seeing them all fucking chasing him as he's running for his life.
And Economos, rather than like get in the car running, is like, okay, there's no way they're catching up. Like gaming is very, very practical. Like, yeah, if you're running, like there's that many people chasing you, you're not getting away. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not. But I like how we even the odds and we make it mano a mano between father and son there. And again, it's just the suit on White Dragon. I don't mean to just keep leaning on this point. He does look really cool, and he's shooting the energy beams and everything's flying. And they gave him the big shoulder pads, not cartoonishly huge, but they gave him big shoulder pads.
It worked. The suit definitely worked. I remember when I first saw the suit, I'm like, that's okay. There it is, and it's straight out the page.
Yeah. And of course, I love that Eagly being hit was like the last was like the last straw. Like, you hit Eagly. It's like I'm a POS for sure for listening to you, but mainly for not killing you. And just like literally, he kills his father, and that's basically the death of his family. The death of, one could argue, I think, and I could be reading too much in this. One could say it as that's the death as Peacemaker sees it of who he is without the helmet. That's the death of Christopher Smith. That's the death of like any vestige I have, like my brother in the good times, and any love I had for my father. Is like when my father dead, I got nothing. With Eagly possibly dead or wounded
I
at
didn't
that
see it
point.
like that. I saw it as that was severing the tie to his misery, because he still has the good times with his brother.
Yeah.
He still has those memories. He still will have Eagly, obviously, but he's still Christopher Smith. And I don't think he was like, I'm not Christopher Smith anymore. I think it's, you can't hurt me anymore because I'm going to fucking kill you.
It was a great cathartic moment that he played after he killed his father. Seeing like in Vigilante, he's kind of botching it up for a second, just like, no, what are you doing? It's creepy, man. He's crying over his dead father. Just give him that.
Yeah, tender touches.
God,
fucking ruining the damn moment.
Oh, of course, the Eagly hug. Eagly is revived by some vets, and I love that Hardcore's like saying like, wait, do we have to kill him? Do we have to kill these veterinarians? No. Just the reluctancy and the no of like, no, we don't have to.
I like that they wanted to go along for the ride and help, and it's like, no, you're not. Just stay there.
You get killed. No.
And then, of course, Vigilante cares more. If he's not going to kill him, he does care about how they get tied up, because he doesn't want to hurt their skin.
Just wonderful. Just loved it. So the Eagly hug is witnessed by Adebayo, which he was incredulous of in the beginning. So it's it's very, very heartwarming moment. Like, hey, it's a sign from above. One could say it's like, hey, I've seen the way. I'm going to tough it out with these guys. I'm going to try to redeem myself in the eyes of this crew. Where again, she literally could leave at any time because her mother's the boss. Like, she could leave anytime she wants. So that all that brings us to the last episode, the finale, episode 8. It's Cow or Never. So yeah, we're killing the cow. The cow being in this case,
and we finally see the cow, which is like, what the fuck is that shit?
Like a giant, kind of baby Mothra, if you will, kind of giant caterpillar looking.
It had this look of bewilderment on it, or I was like, what? I can't explain it. I just saw that thing and I'm like, this is a James Gunn project.
Yeah, I love the logic. We're going to teleport this thing away so we don't die, because if they kill this thing, which we know they're coming for right now, we're goners. Again, we're in 2 weeks, we're going to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So as you see, already kind of teed up wonderfully already, but we kind of had the comedy of errors with we've wasted the anti-gravity helmet, and then Eagly is dropping the helmet in unhelpful places. And then it goes to Plan Economos, not Plan C, Plan O for Economos, where James Gunn, he paid off the dye-beard thing just utterly beautifully, and you can see, okay, this is definitely a James Gunn project for what he did. You're laughing at it, ha ha ha, but then Peacemaker is getting remorseful over bullying him over the dye-beard, because there's like the little insecurities we all have that we hope, and just forcing this character, Steve Agee, who's one of James Gunn's guys. He puts him in if not all of his stuff, then most of his stuff. Just giving Agee a moment to shine. Agee, by the way, for those who may not be aware, plays the body of King Shark.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
All right. Sorry. Refocus for a second there. Yes. Anyway. But yeah, it's just a really human moment, just like all the inadequacies that we have, just kind of facing, kind of forced introspection, something Vigilante would never do, as we've established here, where it's like, I'm kind of a lazy, sad man, and you feel for him.
It was definitely one of those moments where it's like you're oversharing, and then you're like, "Oh, that's too much."
I know.
Stop. No, guy. Stop.
Oh. But again, I love the butterflies just completely numb to this. Like, humans, they're just so weak, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, so then we have our battle. We give Peacemaker a shield, which I don't know if he has in the comics, but if he doesn't, we should give him one, because it's really cool.
It worked, and it was cool, and it didn't feel Captain America-y, because, it was yellow and red and white and rhombus-shaped.
And used to stab people.
And he was, oh god, he was cutting off limbs with that thing.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, Captain America did in the Avengers. They were aliens, though. Well, these are aliens too.
That's what I'm saying. That it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you're not cutting off people's limbs, then you're useless.
Fair enough. So, no, I love this though. I love that we paid off the opening credits here, where we use the music in this sequence, but we deflated it as they lost. So beginning to lose, like Vigilante shot Harcourt's down, and then of course Economos just
breaks his leg hopping a fence.
It's like the mundane nightmare I've had, but it's like, yeah, you're in the actions. I remember AG mentioned like he hates all the running in there. I just love like taking AG's like thing where he hates all the running and just like turning into a plot point. Like, oh guys, why he hates running? If I can't do a jump, I'm not a stunt man.
It was funny.
So Adebayo saves the day big time twice.
That kind of caught me off guard a little bit because you go into what was it, episode 2, where she's just like, I've never fired a gun before, and then episode 3, she has a panic attack and she doesn't want to kill the bodyguard, and now she's running around like she's John Wick, and she's like, I'm gonna do what I was born to do. I'm like, whoa, slow down here. What do you mean born to do? Were you trained? And I had this conversation yesterday also with a friend. I said it would have been better if. Have you ever seen The Rundown with The Rock?
Not The Rundown, no.
In The Rundown, he plays this, not bounty hunter, but mafia enforcer, and his last job before he can go free is to find Sean William Scott, the son of the boss who's escaped to the Congo, somewhere in South America, and he's got to find him and bring him in, right? So, of course, he goes and finds his ass, and then Christopher Walken is like the best version of him being a bad guy ever. Like, this is just Christopher Walken just chewing scenery, being a nut. And anyway, every henchman that comes after him, he's beating the shit out of him, and they're like, why don't you use a gun? He goes, I don't like guns. Bad things happen when I have guns. Until finally, third act, they're all under gunfire, and he has to use a gun. And when he does, you see why he doesn't use guns anymore, because he's going full John Wick on these people, right? And it's a glorious moment in the movie. I feel we should have had that moment for Adebayo where she's just like, I don't like guns, I don't like killing people. And it's like, why? And it's just like, I have my reasons. And then you see that this woman actually is a like deadly, deadly assassin, which would justify what she was doing.
Yeah, I mean, the only logic I had for Adebayo spraying the actually was, I mean, Waller wouldn't. Well, then again, it's Waller, so you never know.
Waller's daughter. That's the only logic you really have at this point.
It's like the logic you wouldn't think Waller would put her daughter in like a probably, if she's going to be facing down alien butterflies that have to be shot and killed on a regular basis, she's not going to throw her daughter into that, without her being trained. Probably a lapse training, but like a training all the same. I mean, that's the only logic I could buy. But then against Waller, maybe Waller hates her daughter, so I was like, I'm just doing the thing as a parent, but I don't really care if you live or not on this mission.
I just wish we had like a deleted scene, and I'm hoping we get one where we delve into her backstory, where we see that she does have the training that is necessary for her to be doing the things that she does during this particular sequence, because we don't know how good of an aim she has. We don't know how agile or fast she is. We never see her do much of anything. And even when Peacemaker is raiding the factory, you see like she's shooting people he's already shot.
Which is great.
Which is hilarious and played for laughs, but you don't see her being competent, and all of a sudden, boom, she's competent. I'm like, I feel like we're missing a piece. We're missing a piece of the puzzle here.
That's a fair point. That is a good point. So, the most impressive story point of the season, I felt, in the end, was Goff's offer to Peacemaker. Basically, the big surprise turn of, like, the butterflies acted, and basically, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I think this scene is beautifully acted. I think the scene's beautifully acted between the actress who's playing, kind of song as Goff as song is like playing the layer, like the queen of the butterflies inside the detective character.
Mm-hmm.
I love how tender this scene is, and basically shows you just you buy that Peacemaker's being swayed on this. You buy it because of just like how compassionate, just how deeply she's kind of getting him in this moment here, saying we've been trying to save the planet. And she makes again James Gunn. I assume definitely during the lockdown he's ruminating on things here, saying it's saying things like, people get up in arms over think minor inconveniences as assaults on freedom, and thing like, profits, people profiting versus survival mentality, and things along those lines, and they're trying to deter that. They're predicting a world's end like their world ended on this world in less than 100 years. So they're trying to fix that. So what I'm getting at here is, what I loved is that this is like the one person who it seems truly likes and relates to him completely in his ideology, in that he is like literally the vow and the mission of peace is represented, like, we're striving for peace no matter how many people we have to kill or take over to do that, which is exactly what you believe in. So this is like reframing the big Rick Flag choice in Suicide Squad in a big way here. Like, here's your choice: are you going to double down on the path of peace, or are you going to just like pick the temporary bet, like the temporary victory here?
Going from there, he actually thematically does the exact opposite, because in the Rick Flag scene, he kills Rick Flag and then doubles down on the mission of peace. In this one, he goes in the opposite direction, doesn't kill Goff, and says no to peace, basically.
Yeah, which again,
so
it's a lot of growth from that moment.
It's a lot of growth. It's very symbolic. And yeah, again, I really appreciate James Gunn posing that question of what's more important, the concept of peace, no matter the cost, or free will. And I myself am like, look, so I get it. Even I would probably be in the same boat, where it's like, I want this world to survive. I want people to survive, but I also know people are incapable of making good decisions. But I can't take those freedoms away from somebody, because that is morally wrong.
Yeah. I mean, what killed me in this scene is that you see, like, Cena. I think Cena gives probably one of his best performances here, just in reacting to this. Really, like, he sheds that tear, and you see like the performance between her, where she's like, she genuinely thanks him for the affection that he showed her, like when she was like in the like feeding her
The
like
jar,
the amber
yeah.
fluid in the jar and everything. Like, that's why I drew the peace sign. It's like you feel like. And by the end of things, I'm thinking there's still like a genuine bit of like respect between those two at the very last shot.
There was definitely respect. I actually thought, I was worried. I'm like, is Goff going to just like fucking take over somebody? But I'm like, well, wait, what's the point of that? He's going to be dead anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing, because with the cow dead, which by the way, we killed the cow using the whole human torpedo.
That was funny, and I was like, oh god, no! Boom, it happened. I'm like, oh fuck.
I love that and I like it kind of subverted, because you thought, okay, she misfired with the torpedo thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is perfect for Peacemaker. The fact that he does save the day, but Adebayo really saves the day, because she is the body in the human torpedo thing. So he's casually
pulled the trigger. He pulled the trigger.
But I love that he used the human person as a bullet, though. I just love that he's like, oh yeah, Adebayo, she'll be cool with this. Yeah, sure, like fire.
I'm pretty sure that was more than enough to make her make it up to him. It's just like, you went through that thing, we're cool now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel that in that scene, like, I thought it was going to play out that, what are you going to do, Peacemaker? And he basically just snaps the neck of Song, and then, kills the cow at leisure. But yeah, letting Song live, or letting Goff live.
Yeah, letting Goff live. Yeah, because he could have shot Goff from the distance. You can easily see he could have made that shot, but he chose not to.
Letting Goff live, and then, of course, killing the cow with Adebayo. Beautiful chef's kiss. I was cool with it. And then getting to that end scene, it's just like, if Goff could speak, it was probably one of those, you're a fucking idiot, but, I'm not going to kill you because I respect you, and you didn't kill me, so I owe you one type thing.
Yes, that's a good read on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Adebayo was moved by Chris's actions there, and basically, he made the emotional connect and picking his friends over his ideals and everything. And honestly, as a whole, I mean, James Gunn, he delivers on an emotionally perfect ending on a regular basis. So this was yet another victory in that one. I felt. I just love the. We do a lot of great things set to the Apologize song, which is, again, an utterly perfect song choice to end the show with.
Yeah. That guy asked a question. He's not. Goff's going to die, dude.
Yeah, Goff's like, because here's what we did. We fed Goff the last of the amber fluid, the last of the jar of the amber fluid. So Goff is absolutely a goner.
So yeah,
Exactly.
Goth ain't gonna. If anything, season 2 will open up with Goth dying if we even see that much.
Yeah, which is I don't think we need, but it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's gonna happen. I was again half expecting someone to get taken over. I almost was scared that Adebayo's wife was gonna get taken over, and I'm like, leave this poor woman alone.
Yeah. So yeah, we do some big things here where we out the Suicide Squad. Waller was outed by her own daughter, and I don't think it might be a stretch here. Symbolically kills her past and her parent like Peacemaker did. Like she goes against her mother, like Peacemaker went against his father,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure is going to have some repercussions. Chris and Harcourt, they're in the hospital. I love that was so darn charming. I love again. We don't go full romantic or anything because again, it would be a hard buy. But it's the fact that he was there for her genuinely and just holding her hand, like you. They say you never left. It's like that was really sweet.
I feel for that scene. I didn't view it as romantic, and I feel that it was really just a genuine appreciation of one person to another. So yeah, that was definitely nice, and obviously, the reveal earlier on and the confirmation that Augie is still there in his mind, basically, because you can't escape your past, basically.
It's just to me, it was like the perfect last shot of it's him and his demons. I like that he was, I really like that he wasn't in the costume for the last shot.
No, he doesn't need to be in the costume. He's not scared of the white dragon. He's scared of his father.
Yeah.
Yeah, the white dragon is nothing. It's the man behind the mask that terrified him the most.
I just read it as I just like reading it as it's his demons being his father and the choice that he made where he could have achieved peace and he with Goth being there, Goth having accepted the fate and just feeding one last time before death presumably, and just an accept. Just the whole it's an ending of acceptance, and I love that with the apology song one could say it's like I'm not going to apologize for who I am anymore. This is who I am, and this being who I am is I am my traumas, I am my choices, I am my hangups, I am basically that last shot. I'm the guy who owns the pet eagle who's going to be in the money shot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I think we have one question here. It's saved for the end from that guy as well. Let's see. By the way, who and what do you think is going to be the main conflict of season 2? Because I don't think they can do another weird controlling body snatcher alien. Basically, not another Starro, not another Butterfly.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to get a human character as an antagonist. Honestly, I think this is the perfect opportunity to set up, Captain Atom or even the Question, and bring those in. And you got the Question, you're immediately going into more conspiracy shit, and seeing as how Peacemaker is the guy who believes in conspiracies, seems like the way to go.
I agree. The only thing I could really think of for Peacemaker season 2 was just more Charlton characters. But the way you're framing it, though, like potentially the Question being the jumping off point to a bigger bad guy is a really good idea, a way to introduce that character.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you have Amanda Waller, who's this huge string puller, who's now has to recover from what her daughter did to her. You have Peacemaker, who is easily capable of believing a lie. As long as he reads it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Question is definitely a Charlton DC character.
Of course.
It would make a lot of sense that he could be a former Argus, scorned Argus agent. Vic Sage could easily have that sort of a backstory. He could just be a regular guy who stumbled onto it. You could just do it as however you want, but I think he's a really good way to go because you have the Question just being like, I came to you because, well, you're the one who did the big thing, and you're probably the only guy who's going to believe me. And then, of course, Vigilante be like, he doesn't have a face. I don't trust him. I can't read his face. And he's like,
God, that'd be great.
He's like, you're wearing a mask. I can't read your face. Yeah, well, you're wearing a mask, and I can't read your face. So there.
God, that sounds great. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, we'd be kicking ourselves if we forgot to mention this. The Justice League gag. What did you think about the Justice League cameo?
Well, I fucking hate Ezra Miller as a human being, but
really?
I hate that man.
Okay.
He's just such a self-indulgent turd who is very, very full of himself in his responses and has done some questionable things.
Right.
So I hate his performance as Barry Allen. I hate the way he runs. I hate the way he talks. I hate his face. I just can't wait for this guy to go away, but he's not.
Well, I put it this way: I don't mind Miller, but I have no hopes for the Flash side of this Flash movie they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is not a good omen for a Flash.
No,
movie.
I know. It can rot as far as I'm concerned. But that being said, I felt the Aquaman joke was very funny, and it was obvious. It was obvious, but also funny that Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot were not in it. They just had their stand-ins. The stand-in for Superman has now started the hashtag where he's trying to be the next Superman that takes over for Henry Cavill. I'm like, sit down, bro. Who the hell are you?
That's not a real thing, is it?
No, it's a real thing. He really did it.
Oh God!
He posted a photo of him in the trailer and with the wig on because he's wearing a wig and he's in the suit and he's just like, he started the hashtag like I can be Superman too or whatever. I forgot what it was. But I'm like, no, man, no, you're goddamn stand-in. Go away. You're not Superman. And I don't want you as Superman. You look okay, but you're like the Wish.com version of Superman.
At the point, I think people hashtag bring back Cavill would get a lot more traction, I feel.
Yeah, I'm saying Henry or Tyler are the only Superman I want to see right now. And as much as I love Tyler, I don't want to see his show. I'm just avoiding it on purpose because I hate the idea that he has 2 teenage sons. Why does he need 2 teenage sons? One's enough.
It's a whole thing. But
yeah, it's stupid. I'm not giving him just because that's the only reason why I'm not giving it. It's like you could have easily just said we have 1 kid, but we're gonna have 2 dramatic teenage boys. One may have powers, one may not. One could turn to the dark side. We don't know. So fuck that.
I gotta be honest, they've kind of gotten away from that whole will they, won't they, kind of like path thing with the kids. So it just came more pointless when you think about it.
Again, then why do you have the kids in the first place?
Yeah, I know, it's a whole.
So big no for me. Also the whole I'm trying to manage being a teenage father and Superman and living in presumably Smallville. I'm like, I'm getting tired. No, I don't want it. I don't want that. I just want a Superman show. And that's it. Just give me a Superman show. Do all your flashbacks where he's in the Fleischer suit and he's meeting Lois. Which, by the way, why the fuck did he go on national TV? That's really dumb.
All right, well,
I'm getting off track.
I agree with you on that, but you're right. Yeah, let's just refocus.
But anyway, the Justice League joke was funny. It was nice just seeing him finally curse him out, saying you're fucking late because they're fucking late.
Which again, it's always a thing every time we do the big crossover movies or do a movie. Honestly, do any of the movies like in the MCU mainly, but even with Suicide Squad, it's like, hey, where were the other heroes to help with this giant world saving event? Or like when we needed backup, where were they? They have to contrive reasons. Well, I mean, they're doing this movie and that movie, or basically we can't get. I mean, you always have to call somebody. It's like, no, we're just going to call them out. Like, hey, where were you?
Yeah,
they're not going to get here in time.
I think the easiest way to go with it is that Peacemaker was already there, so he just finished before they arrived. But even by the time they would have arrived, it would have been too late anyway. But again, what's Superman's or the Flash's excuse? Those 2 should have fucking been there before everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's really with the Justice League thing. I love that it pays off. Like Peacemaker, even like the show and tell scenes, all throughout the season, he's been kind of trash talking and talking about these incredulous encounters or like these things that he's heard through the grapevine because he believes everything he's told about the superheroes. Like Superman's got certain fetishes, and like the Flash is like a tool bag or something, and like one of them was eye effing him from across the room. That's sort of like Green Arrow's a brony, which apparently is true.
That is true. He was spotted at a brony convention, and but James Gunn did come out and say none of the rumors are true, just to appease the DC gods. But I did appreciate they gave Peacemaker a Punisher style line where I believe it was someone was questioning the Punisher, and he brought up all the rogues galleries of other characters, and he's just like, why don't I have any rogues? Because I fucking put them down, when Peacemaker was like,
in the ground.
Yeah, and Peacemaker being able to say that's like, why does Batman and all these rogues and I don't? It's like, because I end them.
I love that he phrased it like a riddle me this,
Yeah.
Like, riddle me this, how many murders is Batman indirectly responsible for?
And that is true. Like if he, especially in the Dark Knight, he's just like, you let 5 people die tonight. Even for me, that's kind of cold.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was. A lot of people are speculating it was like a digital removal or something. Like obviously we didn't have all the members of the Justice League. We didn't need all the members of the Justice League first of all, so I don't mind that we didn't have.
No, there wasn't a digital removal. They didn't have that kind of money. They literally just cut Batman out.
Lots of things. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, I didn't want to see Batman in that last shot because just I don't know, some things just feels like Batman Peacemaker is just I don't know, its interaction just feels like it's better to hear it talked about, but having those two, I don't buy Batman would be on the scene if Peacemaker was involved.
A Batman Peacemaker scene would have ended with Batman and Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Him getting decked, falling to the ground, and Batman saying some one-liner and walking away. And if you're not going to have an actual line between actual dialogue between the two characters, don't have them show up.
Exactly. So it's let's see what was all right. With the Green Arrow thing, real quick, I just want to mention because I meant to mention this when we talked Vigilante at the top. The Arrow show did kind of a weird take on.
They had Dolph Lundgren play the Vigilante.
No. They had Dolph Lundgren. He didn't play the Vigilante.
Oh, he didn't? I thought he did.
No. He was a different character.
Oh.
The point, it was like one of the Russian Brotha, I think. Is
got it.
Cast him as. Regardless, they did like a weird switch up. They had an Adrian Chase, and they also had a Vigilante, and they made you think Adrian Chase was the Vigilante, but they pulled a switch through. The point being, you had a more straightforward take on Vigilante, but wasn't a lot of depth there, and they didn't make him even Adrian Chase. It was kind of weird. But it was kind of funny with the Green Arrow show. It was like, oh yeah, that was what I was thinking when I saw Vigilante. It was kind of funny we make a Green Arrow reference by the end.
I definitely feel that the Arrow version of Vigilante is very watered down in terms of both character and design. And I mean, his mask kind of looks a little bit like the blue and gray version of Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I mean, they basically they underplayed the blue and almost entirely on that suit, if I recall.
Yeah.
It was like, All right, let's see. I think we'll see if there's anything else in the comments, and then I'll toss it to you, sir, and then we'll blow out this pop stand. Okay, let's see. Mutale says, imagine they did a similar scene at the end of WandaVision where Doctor Strange does show up, but Wanda's already gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just saying kind of like the kind of frugality, the futility of it, perhaps. I don't know. Okay, to be fair, Affleck. Okay, he's been speaking to Batman. To be fair, Affleck Batman would love Peacemaker's philosophy. Batman vs Superman has anything to go by. It's a fair point. Sadly.
Yeah, I think James Gunn was trying to retcon what Batfleck had done, which is probably one of the reasons why he wasn't in the scene.
Yeah, which is what I like. Yeah, that's the thing too. It feels like a smart call in many respects because of what the Guy Gardner point that you made, but also just the fact that Gunn's been playing it kind of smart with like he's in the DCEU, but he's also been trying to kind of like with stuff like Shazam and I guess to an extent Aquaman's been trying to do like we're using the same toys, but we're trying to kind of just kind of take like a less complicated or less kind of like reviled approach.
Well, he's trying to bring it back to the comics.
Yeah.
Which is where it should be. You can still do a serious, heartfelt show while simultaneously being comic accurate. You don't need to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah, it's like a blood transfusion of the comics that the DCEU desperately needed, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. I feel the problem with specifically the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many people who are going to like freak out over this because they're like, oh my God, I love Zack Snyder. The problem with the Snyderverse is that he felt that what was in the comics didn't work. And he's like, I got to do my own take. I got to make it realistic.
I got to shoot Jimmy Olsen because
I got to shoot Jimmy Olsen because he's an FBI agent. It's like, what are you, Michael Bay? Like, no, man, he's not an FBI agent. He's not deep undercover. He's just, a photographer. Like, you could still make that work and be compelling. He could just be a photographer who gets caught over enemy lines.
I still like to point out from time to time that my favorite part of Batman v Superman, the only good part for me is the opening where we basically do kind of the Dark Knight Returns origin. Basically we kind of artfully in the Zack Snyder style we show the origin.
You have no idea how pissed off I was when I learned that Gotham City and Metropolis are separated by a fucking river.
Yeah, it's a whole but my point, you're right. Yeah, it's a buy, but
that's so stupid.
My point is, I like to point out for anyone who does like Snyder's, like Joe Chill in that scene does look an awful lot like Zack Snyder.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, my problem with all that is it's all style over substance. It's
Agreed.
just Zack Snyder is a beautiful cinematographer, but he's a terrible writer and a terrible director.
Yeah, particularly with like original stories. Again, I'll defend.
I'm not going into Sucker Punch right now. That's just god awful.
That's what I'm saying. I'd say that's an even worse example. But yeah, it's anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yeah, I think we covered just. I think we've covered about everything with Peacemaker. So, Chris, one last time, why don't you tell the folks? Why don't you remind the folks, what you got cooking up and how they can help you with it, or just get the word out or whatnot. Like, what are you working on?
Well, I'm working on my new feature film, Random Acts of Violence, which is going into production in late April. You can look it up on Facebook at RAV Movie. I got some, key art up there right now, and we're selling some T-shirts and posters of the first poster. And I'll be posting stuff, like I said, over the coming months as we get closer to production. It's going to be exciting, and I'm nervous as all hell.
I think you can do a fine job, Chris. You're going to do a better than fine job.
Oh,
I'm
I know. A feature film is just like a really long short film, but still.
sure. If there anyone else's name on it, I'd be worried. I'll tell you that much.
Thank you.
All right, so again, folks, I encourage you to look into whatever this man has done previously and what he's doing going forward. Nothing but quality from Chris.R. Notarile. I want to thank our fine folks in the comments for sticking it out with us, like that guy, John Kelling. Let's see. There's also Mutale Munashiku. And of course, we have our man behind the scenes with us as well. Yeah, he's gonna run things, Tiki. So thanks to everybody, and take care. And I guess we'll maybe see you for the next season of Peacemaker. What we got coming next in the pipeline, show wise.
Bye, everybody.
Right,